fired up.
4th down and goal from the 9. 17 seconds to go. The play clock at 3. Shotgun snap. Carr throws into traffic. Intercepted. Jermaine Pratt has the football.
Yeah.
Coffin nails.
Bam, bam, bam. How about that? It ends on a turnover.
Joe Burrow takes the snap. He takes a knee. And after 31 years, the drought is over. And guess what? The Joe Burrow era is just beginning.
Welcome back. That was an intro of epic proportions.
That's all it needed.
Well done.
Ed can stick around for another week.
I mean, I also ended it early for you, but you completely didn't catch that.
Well, because it started to play again.
You didn't hear it fade out?
It faded, but then it faded back in, and then it was started back up. But that's okay. It could have played a second time for all I care.
I also didn't know if I could talk over it or if you could do more than one audio at the
I don't
same
think
time.
I don't think there was need to talk over it, but it does mute your audio while it's going on.
So we're still ironing out the kinks.
It is what it is. Like,
It's only been like 12 weeks that we've been doing.
No one comes here for perfection. Let's be honest.
So it is another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. We just lost Jeff Howell. He's back. Also, Ed Mayhall running the production, self-proclaimed best producer on the third best podcast, 3 years running and going for 4. Be sure to cast your vote on citybeat.com for Pardon the Punctuation best sports coverage. I think we can do this again. Four straight years.
I don't see why not. I'll post it online again.
And as always, I am Aaron
everything.
Smith. And this is Pardon the Punctuation. So, I
just noticed Jeff and I are both wearing camo tonight.
I didn't get the camo memo.
Nor
would I have had anything, to be quite honest.
It's just it was a Christmas gift. That's my new. Actually, I guess it was a birthday gift. It's a new. It's Bengals.
Mine's for Evan McPherson.
Well, we can only see 4.
Oh, the brand.
Yep. And then we didn't see anything. It was camouflage.
Yeah. I think it's good. That's yeah.
Oh man.
You could have stood.
No, we don't want to do that.
So Sunday was a very special day. It was our Saturday. I take it back, Saturday, because Saturday playoffs, Sunday playoffs, Monday playoffs.
Sunday was a special day too.
I would say Sunday was still special.
Yeah.
It's still special today.
But Saturday ended the curse of Bo Jackson. It ended the 31-year drought. It made the Reds the longest team to go without a playoff win at this point in time.
Oh, for the Reds, it's a playoff series, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, to advance in the playoffs.
Right. Yes.
They're now the franchise with the longest drought in all of professional sports, I believe, since 1995.
We did it.
And that was a big deal. That was a really big deal. And of course, we'll get into what happened in the game, but just to talk about the emotions of it all first, what was going through your head as you were downtown commandeering an illegal drone over the stadium, Ed?
Yeah, no, that wasn't me. I'm not a part of Drone Gate. Although, I mean, that would be pretty cool to get that shot, if I was allowed by FAA rules, which I am not allowed by FAA rules. Matter of fact, DJI shouldn't even let me fly there. So somebody did a little bit of hacking. But yeah, no, it was an exciting game.
Well, you were watching at home with your kids, right?
That's correct. We were watching at home.
Did you watch the actual broadcast or the Nickelodeon broadcast?
I don't have Nickelodeon.
I don't think there was a Nickelodeon version
that was the second game.
Good is my response to that.
There was only one Nickelodeon broadcast this weekend.
That kid was pretty good. did that announcing or did that commentating. He was pretty good.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, the boys and I, sat around the TV. Again, Bryce was excited. Hey, is this a big football game? Yeah, it is. Oh, I can't wait. Didn't watch a minute of it. But we had some chicken wings and some pizza. Enjoyed a good game. Didn't ever, I don't think once, turn into that Cincinnati fan like, oh, here we go, we're gonna lose this. I thought we were gonna tie it at the end and then just come back and win. But I mean, all in all, it's a pretty good game. A lot of injuries. Don't want to see that. Don't want to see those injuries at all. Wish we could have done a little bit more of the running game. I think there might be. I haven't done any research, but was there anything wrong with Joe Mixon? Okay, we good.
We'll break down the game, but
all in all, it's exciting. Got to see, they did like the zooming of the city and everything like that. All the buildings lit up orange. Boys were excited about that.
You bring that up, and one of the gripes I have against the city being lit up there in the way that they did it is the night prior, every building downtown was lit up orange, it seemed.
It was
the P&G building. You had the American, what is it? Great American. Yeah, Great American Insurance or whatever. The tiara was orange. You had the Cincinnati on the Duke Energy that's always missing several light panels. For some reason. How they don't have that 100% all the time as an energy company is still beyond me. But you had the Fifth Third building. You had all of the buildings downtown lit up orange. But then for the actual playoff game, and I don't know if maybe it just looks prettier if it's white or whatever, I thought it looked fantastic lit up orange. And I thought it was just a show of unity lit up orange. And I don't understand why when the actual game happened, we went ahead and flipped the switch and got them all back to white.
So we were a little bummed about that. So the boys wanted to see, I was like, hey, boys, look, it's downtown Cincinnati lit up in orange. Oh, we want to go see it. I said, all right, well, if the Bengals wins, we'll head down there. So after they won, we head down there. And
is this when you were getting your drone?
Yeah, when I was picking up my drone. So we headed down there. You dick. We headed down there and checked out to see. You're right, not all of them were orange as they showed on the TV. I guess that was footage from the night before. But a good majority of them were. So the boys enjoyed that. Drove through the city, saw some of the excitement. The boys thought everybody, well, the youngest thought everybody that was wearing a Bengals jersey was a Bengals player.
That's great.
Yeah. And then couldn't get anywhere close to the stadium. He wanted to see the stadium. Couldn't get anywhere close to it. What should have been 10 minutes downtown was definitely 45 minutes to an hour. Picked up some chicken nuggets and came home.
Jeff, what was the energy like at your house watching the game?
Like Carrie and I have had season tickets for about a 5-year span before kids when it was easier to make that happen. And I obviously, like the rest of us, been a Bengals fan since I can remember. Going down to my dad dragging me down to games and peeing behind semi trucks on the way into the stadium because I had to go to the bathroom. There's nowhere else to go.
Of course,
those
kinds of things.
Who hasn't?
And exactly. I mean, as an adult, I'm okay with that. Have at it.
I don't even go behind semi trucks. I'm usually in between people's cars in the parking lot. But whatever.
It's what it is. You got to do what you got to do. So like, I mean, I didn't think that I don't know. I guess I didn't expect like the level of emotion to hit. My kids were all watching the game with my wife upstairs, and I heard a lot of there was a lot of jumping up and down and things like that going on throughout the game. And then my oldest came down and watched the fourth quarter with me in the basement, and it was more of like a kind of a sense of relief. I did yell pretty loud on the interception. I think a lot of people did. I don't have a video or anything of that, pictures or whatever that a lot of people took. I didn't even really think about any of that. It was kind of just this,
shock.
Like I said, like a sense that sense of relief, you know, like as the game started, and there were a couple, you know, pretty glaring opportunities to really, I think, put the game out of reach early on, and you know, we settled for some field goals, whatever, and we can talk more about that as it comes in. But you know, those things happened. I was still confident that the Bengals were going to be able to finish it off, but I thought that it was going to get kind of tight, and it did. And then you got a guy like Jermaine Pratt that just, you know, came through in probably the biggest moment of the game there, and I screamed, and then I just sat there and stared at the screen, like it really happened. We're moving on. We've won a game. And I know like Joe Burrow's had some comments to that.
He has.
And there are comments that we expect to come from him, and they're not in any way disrespectful of anyone else. It's just the level of confidence that he carries and the level of confidence this team has. So yeah, I mean, just a wave of relief that, you know, we don't have to hear about how long it's been since the Bengals have won a playoff game. Like, yeah, you know, you guys have been there. I think Aaron sent us a message on Friday or Saturday before the game about like saying like, oh, look, you know, like the Bengals have actually made, there's only like 9 teams I think that have made the playoffs more since like 2002. The Bengals have been there like 8 times. I think that was including this one because obviously they hadn't won the game yet. And we all know that the Bengals have been able to get to the playoffs. Like there was a stretch of time where like they were not a bad football team. It was a fun team to watch, and it just never getting over that playoff hump just never happened. That's always been what everybody says. Like, oh, you're a Bengals fan, yeah, well, you know, like, they can get there sometimes, but then that's it. You know, they're a one and done team. Everybody looks to be like, all right, we got the Bengals in the first round of the playoffs. Like, it doesn't matter that we didn't get the first round bye because we got the Bengals, so it's like a bye.
I mean, we lost to the Jets in the first round.
I was there.
Me too.
Like,
you bring up a good point, Jeff. Like not having pictures or anything, but it was cool to like check out the pictures and everything that were coming in through Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. Just people down there. I mean, normally people down there hours before the game, but I'd seen people that were down there like 9:30 in the morning for a 4:30 kickoff. Like, it was pretty cool.
Oh, it was. It was. I mean, I think 66,277. I think is the announced attendance, which is obviously above. I think it's like 1,000 over what capacity there. So, yeah, I mean the Houday faithful showed up and showed out, and it was loud. I mean, it was loud.
Sea of orange. They hit 115 decibels. I think was the actual. People had it recorded on their Apple Watches. That I had no idea you could actually record your decibel level.
Yeah, it tells you like if it's healthy for your ears, which I don't think that probably is. But
no,
why don't you check that out?
It was seriously impressive to see on TV. Obviously, you know, I think none of us were actually at the game, so it was a show of force for the city of Cincinnati to be out and down there and proud and have it. Like I've said, I tweeted it out. The game was a chance to fuse the fan base between the folks who have been heartbroken for repeatedly and force-fed a product that was garbage for a long time and told, you know, just be happy you have a professional team, because that was kind of the sentiment was like, yeah, you have a professional team here. If you don't like it, you know, we can leave. And it got to the point where a lot of people were like, that's fine, then leave. Like, you know, we'll see if we can't get something else here, but you know, we're tired of this nonsense. But we're still going to be fans because it's just kind of the nature of the beast. And so it had a chance to fuse kind of that old group of like, but something's going to happen. There's a shoe that is going to drop somewhere in this you know, nice run that we've got going on here. Like, it's going to happen. like the entire team is going to end up, with COVID before the game, and they're going to have to forfeit. Like, there's something that horrible that was going to happen. That fan base with the group that doesn't either care about that has become football fans in the last couple of years. Kids, like our children that are now starting to be like, hey, I'm a Bengals fan. This is the team that I'm going to root for. Because I'm not going to lie, when as my kids started growing up, I told them, like, hey, if you would like to pick another team, you need to do it. And they're like, no, like, Bengals fan, like, you're Bengals fan, mom's Bengals fan, like, grandpa, everybody. I'm like, this has been a miserable existence for a while. Like, you need to know what you're doing here. And of course, they're too young to really understand that, and so they're all excited. But a victory like that is one that can now bring everybody together, put all that baggage away, and press forward with what we have and be excited about it.
Aaron, how was tailgating?
Well, let me tell you, because of the foot of snow that fell here in Athens, we actually stayed in Athens and went down. Well, it's not downtown; it's uptown here in the little town of Athens. Went to the bars down there, and
a couple of Joe Burrow fans live out there. Or?
I mean, there's plenty of Athens people who love them some Joe Burrow. So we actually hit up a couple different bars. We hit up a bar for dinner, and that was too quiet. So we went to another bar, and it was also too quiet. When I'm the loudest by far person in the bar, I don't mind being the loudest, as should come as no surprise. But when I'm really the only one making noise and clapping and like it we had to go to a third bar, and the third bar was the winner. It was called the Pub.
I've driven past that place.
Ended up sitting next to about 4 college kids. One said he was supposed to be there downtown with his dad at UC, or I'm sorry, at Paul Brown, and his car broke down that week, so he wasn't able to make it. The other 2 of them didn't really care who won, and then the 4th apparently went to high school with Joe Burrow, and that was interesting because he's hammered, and he's like, well, let me tell you, I got a story. I have the best Joe Burrow. If they win, I'm gonna tell you the best Joe Burrow story. The best Joe Burrow story. And of course, even before they have won the game, he's like, I can't hold it back. Here's the story. I knew he was gonna be something special. I was a senior, he was a sophomore, and I knew he was gonna be something special. We were at this party in around here, and it's called Boogie on the Bricks. We were playing cornhole, and I watched Joe Burrow sink 1, sink 2, sink 3, sink 4, and I was like, you're gonna be something special. And that was before he ever took a snap. I knew he was going to be special. And I'm just sitting here like, Jesus Christ, if I had thought that everyone was going to be special every time I've seen someone make 4 cornholes in a row. Wow.
That was his best Joe Burrow story.
Wait a minute. Athens is east of Chillicothe?
Yeah, you go through Chillicothe to get to Athens if you're coming from Courthouse.
I could have used you picking something up from a Dick's out there for me. That's a different story. Go ahead.
All right. But I mean, it was cool. Like, they had, Bengals shots on special. So of course, when they won, line them up. And we did a couple rounds of shots, and of course I blacked out before I could do the nightcap with Chad. Just passed out on the couch and slept there until about 4:30 in the morning when I woke up, and was uncomfortable because I'm 37 years old and sleeping on the couch is not ideal.
Yeah. No.
But I mean, I know that it's been a lot of flashbacks for me, like with my dad passing, and I bring this up often enough. But everyone kind of went through their own memories of like those who have been with you through the ride of this miserable existence as a Bengals fan, and those who are no longer here with us to celebrate this win that came as somebody else was there with you through this miserable existence of being a Bengals fan. I know I joked early when we started the show that it broke the curse of Bo Jackson, but legitimately that was a thing. I mean, we thought it was maybe this curse that was broken when the table, what was it, the foosball table, but that Woody Harrelson set ablaze from the set of Cheers. I think there was rumor that was what the curse was on, and that didn't work. That was a thing a couple years ago, Ed. You can look that up. But yeah, I mean, there was, for this win to come against the Raiders, and you had Carr, who had been 0-5 in games under 37 degrees, now 0-6. To see it with just the way that this team has taken the new stripes and the just embracing of the fans via Elizabeth Blackburn, and the way that this team has really just like embraced the super fans and the King of the Jungle, and the merchandise I feel like is finally like really good. It's not just like this blah stuff. You have everyone making their own individual merchandising, and just it's been, I feel like, a complete 180 from where this franchise had been. And I still just tip of the cap to Elizabeth Blackburn, who seems like she's very in touch. I know she's somewhere on Twitter, and no one supposedly knows who she is on Twitter, but she's watching, and she seems in touch with what the fans want, what they've been saying, and it's like the upper management is actually listening for the first time probably in any of our lifetimes. I don't know, it's a different product, it's a different feel, and maybe it's because you have Joe Burrow and you've realized that this is your cash cow. And so if you really want to continue to build on what you've been doing, which is stealing money from people without them even realizing it, maybe you can continue to do so while believing in Joe Burrow and potentially grab a championship or two along the way. And if that's the case, so be it, because, you know, you have a DJ Reader who, after the game, he's like, God, I love this place. Who said that as a high profile free agent coming in? Who's ever said that?
Well, we talked about it. Like in the off season when they started, you know, when some of these guys started, when those guys all started coming here, and like, I know, like we all kind of discussed, like, when have you ever heard somebody that says like, I wanted to go play for the Cincinnati Bengals. I want to be a part of the Bengals. And
Joe Burrow effect.
It's the Joe Burrow effect, certainly. But you'd never heard that. Like, I mean, you could have had anybody here, it seems like, and they, you know, people just didn't want to be here to play here. Like they were here for a little bit and then they'd leave and go do things elsewhere. You know, you got a guy like Hendrickson who people are, if you draft Joe, they will come. Thank you. I believe that's probably Chad. But you know, they've made some good decisions. Obviously, you look at like some PFF grades, and the offensive line is still not good. Like, you know, at least rankings wise. And Burrow has been sacked a lot.
Correct. More than anyone else.
Right. But you look at something like that, and you can look at it and be negative. And that's the old Bengals fan in me. I would look at it and be like, I told you so. See, they're lying. Bad. Or you can look at it and you can say, well, look what they accomplished with a line that wasn't, you know, the best. And they're still accomplishing because they're still in it. By the way, the playoffs are going into the second round, and the Cincinnati Bengals are still playing.
You guys did send you did send out your text message to make sure you sent out the first text message that you could as a Cincinnati Bengals fan that the Cincinnati Bengals won a playoff game, right?
Yeah, I did. I saw something the other
You're
day.
On mute,
maybe
Ed. Still.
Yeah, Ed's still muted. I think somebody put up a thing that said the Steelers. Nobody's made a Steelers TikTok. I don't know if that was you, Aaron, that sent that through, or somebody else sent it through, but. Like nobody's made a Steelers TikTok about a playoff victory or something.
Because their last playoff win was like January 17, and TikTok came out in September of 17.
Yeah, something silly like that. I mean, You can always find silly stuff because obviously now the big narrative has changed to the Bengals have never won a road playoff game.
Okay.
I don't care what you say. Like, for one, as far as I'm concerned, this team is playing with house money because outside of probably, some Bengals fans here, I don't think anybody predicted that they were going to have, double-digit wins and, make the playoffs and then win the first round. So, I mean, I guess there were some people that, threw some, conservative bets down on it that are now, flexing those those bet tickets, which is great. I'm all for that. But nobody thought that they were going to do what they've done, and they're doing it. And at this point, screw it. Why not us?
Why not us?
Right?
Why not us?
I mean, people brought up a good point. The Bengals team last year beat the Tennessee Titans with 100% healthy Derrick Henry. So, I mean, he's coming off a broken foot.
It's not an easy injury to come back off of.
No.
As a
Did see him
running
train.
back.
He's a monster. The dude is a monster, no doubt. Not taking anything away from him. I saw like a little clip. He caught like a little pass and then bumped into some guys at their run through, because obviously nobody's going to hit Derrick Henry at practice full
and his
speed,
upper
right?
body was never injured.
Exactly. So like it's his foot, and obviously not wishing injury on anyone, especially somebody like that, because he was on my fantasy team, and
That one hurts.
Oh, by the way,
It did
congratulations to
hurt.
me.
No,
Fantasy football championship.
good work, Ed.
So, yeah,
Better.
I was just good job, Ed.
Thank you.
I placed money in 2 leagues, so
Oh, we don't play money in this league. We play
there's
for-
your
we
problem.
play for keeps.
Huh. I don't know. I don't even know what that
What are you keeping?
Pride.
All right. Ed was clearly the only one who didn't quit. So,
And my brother Greg.
It's
So-
a 2-person league, Ed?
No, it's like there's like 10 people in this league.
all right, we're not going in.
Yeah, we're
any
not going
further
there.
on
We'll talk about that
fantasy
later.
football.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, so Joe Burrow, 23 of 34, 244, 2 scores, no picks, 2 sacks. Joe Mixon, 17 carries, 48 yards, only averaged 2.8. Jamar Chase, Rookie of the Year, at least Pepsi Rookie of the Year right now. I don't know if he's actually gotten the actual Rookie of the Year here. But 9 catches, 116 yards. I mean, and then this defense to stop Derek Carr, to stop Josh Jacobs. They held Derek Carr only to 310 yards, but they stopped him in the most important drive of the game, the winning drive, which you said you waited for the other shooter drop. I think we were all holding our breath on that last pass.
Oh, I think the shooter drop that I felt, you're watching and you got Mike Daniels goes out on like the first series of the game, injured, and then
Larry Ogunjobi later
then
on. in the game.
Ogunjobi, like you could see him mouth like I broke it when he was laying on the ground. I don't know if that is what ended up being the injury, but that's what it looked like he mouthed.
He's on the IR.
And then they're like, well, and Trey Hendrickson is being evaluated on the sideline for a concussion. So you're like, well,
And
he's gone.
He's game time decision for next week.
And then like the very next play, Mike Hilton gets shaken up and is like laying on the ground, and they're out there, and I'm like, here it is. Like, can we just please hold this together through the end? Like, we're losing. Like, everyone is dropping like flies.
With duct tape and
Like,
paper clips, man.
go get some guys off that bench. I don't care if you have to run Jamar Chase out there at this point. Run somebody, put some people out there. Obviously, it turned out unfortunate for Mike Daniels. I guess he's done for the season. Ogunjobi's done for the season. Trey Hendrickson's in concussion protocol, but is progressing through it. There's like 5 stages to that. Some of it has to do with going out onto the field and showing that you can, do those things again without any issue.
This is a picture of Larry Ogunjobi at practice today with his boys supporting everybody, even though he was placed on IR. And I mean, he did have the only fumble recovery of the game against the Raiders.
And then did like a little front flip deal.
Well, I take it back. The only fumble recovery for the Bengals. Hunter Renfrow recovered one as well, his own. But yeah, I mean, I saw a meme too that was like DJ Reader going into the defensive line meeting on Monday and looking around,
himself.
And it was the Will Smith in the empty room from
the end of Fresh
Prince
Prince
of Bel-Air, where he's just looking around like,
don't do Will like that.
I think I'm all by myself.
Cena's already doing him wrong. Don't do him wrong like that.
But I mean, this defense was not supposed to be at the beginning of the season. They had no stars, really, no star power. And it turned into something that stopped the run. Probably as good as we've stopped the run in years. And now, of course, missing some of those pieces, we'll see how they're able to patchwork it together for another playoff game. I'm sure right now the Titans love the fact that they had a bye week because they didn't lose anybody this week.
What are your thoughts on the calling of Gino to come back and play? Can you even do that?
Yes, you can add people. Right. You can add people because you have openings because you placed Larry Ogunjobi on the IR, but they filled that hole with Xavier Su'a-Filo because he came back from IR, so they added another offensive lineman.
They released him today.
Xavier Su'a-Filo?
Yeah, they released him and added a defensive tackle from the practice squad.
I missed that.
Yeah, it was earlier today. It frees up like an additional $3.1 million going into next year though.
Which they already, I think, had $65 million going into next year, or something absurd.
Yeah, they have the most cap space of any playoff team, which is comforting.
It is
because I feel like they're gonna go spend it.
Well, let's never count the Patriots out for money managing, and don't forget the Steelers are also going to be getting Ben Roethlisberger off their books, as he supposedly rides.
I think my boy
sunset.
I think my boy Des Ridder is going to ask for some money.
Well, that's not how draft picks work. They have slotted amounts that they get.
That's going to be really if he ends up there, it's going to hurt my.
It's going to be hard.
My soul. That's another conversation for another day. But
all right, so we have to bring up these plays though. The touchdown from Joe Burrow to Tyler Boyd. The mysterious whistle.
Oh God.
The erroneous whistle.
And even before that, if you watched, I don't know why no one's talking about this, but if you watch the replay of the CJ Uzomah touchdown, I'm not certain he held that ball to the ground.
I know.
God, I didn't think so either.
No one's talking. Why is no one talking about that? I think we got away with 2 touchdowns.
I guess like on the Uzomah one, like
that call should have been from New York. That had nothing to do with anything
here's the thing.
On the field.
And here's what else is weird. So like there was a catch, and the Raiders wide receiver, I don't know who it was. He caught the ball. It was definitely a catch. It was called incomplete on the field, but before anything else happened, like he dove, got his fingertips underneath it, rolled over, kept it, whatever. Called incomplete on the field. Before they even had to challenge it, it was like whatever this assisted replay was from New York. They called down. There's like 2 additional referees that are officials that are with each coach that are in like black jackets, that in case a referee goes down or an official goes down, whatever. But they relay stuff in and out. So, but they get this assisted replay call from there. But then a little bit later, like the Bengals, there was something happened with the Bengals. They actually had to challenge it, but it was like just as clear, and there was no assisted replay that came down from New York. So like that's like kind of hit or miss. Maybe it's just one that they didn't look at. I don't know. But the Uzama one, I thought too. You're muted, Aaron.
You saw that, right? Though I didn't make that up.
Oh yeah, I just rewatched it. Yeah.
When he rolls over the backside, the ball looks like it kind of spins out of his hands, but he plays it off well, like he was, like I caught it, I was down,
I was done.
Yeah,
Don't tell Raiders
that's
fans.
it.
They're gonna say that they won the whole game. Then,
I mean, the Raiders fans are all upset. Bengals captain did a decent little breakdown of that
Erroneous whistle.
Of the erroneous whistle with the average time it takes to react to audio is like 0.17 seconds. Mm-hmm. The whistle from the whistle to the catch was like 0.14 seconds. So like nobody could have reacted to the whistle in that amount of time.
The only thing I'll counter to that is that these people are not average people.
Correct.
Right.
They are playing at NFL speed all the time. And I'm not going to feel bad because of how many things have gone against the Bengals.
Right.
First and foremost, Steelers in our huddle.
Yeah.
Yep.
A coach pulling hair.
Yep.
It's about time that we get some of these like little.
Did Mo say this earlier this year?
Going our way.
Like didn't Mo say this earlier this year? He's like, it's about time. Why? It's about time the Cards play our way. We've always been. Oh yeah, it was when the Ravens got all mad because we ran the score up on them. It's about time that things go our way. It's about time we get to run the score up. It's about time the phantom calls go our way.
I'll take it.
Yep.
Well, then you've got the roughing the passer on the final drive.
Well, even before that, let's go back to the timeout.
Oh,
Can we talk about CJ's touchdown though? His little what did we call for last week?
The icky gritty?
The icky shuffle into the gritty. I think some folks said that he needs to work on both.
Gives you an icky shuffle as the Bengals take the lead.
And then that, yeah. So
he said himself afterwards that he definitely should have practiced that.
Nah.
I think I also think he should have.
I'm good with it. I don't care. Like, have at it. Do whatever you want to do out there. Like,
as the most tenured Bengal though on the team, I believe. Well, outside of Kevin Huber and Clark Harris.
Yeah, he's the most tenured offensive player.
Good for him to be able to be the one to do it. But that timeout and the 10-minute break on a timeout that should have never been a timeout, and it was a guy who I believe the captain on the field has to be the one to call the timeout, not just anybody else on the field. And so yes, he was out of position.
Well, he wasn't.
I felt bad for the Raiders that he was the only one with the wherewithal to realize that they needed to call a timeout.
I was gonna say, it wasn't because he was out of position. It was because they were
12 men on the
swapping.
field.
They were swapping players, and he realized that the Bengals were going to snap the ball, and the guy trying to get off the field was still like standing next to him, like he was like that far from getting off the field.
Go back and watch the replay. The guy barely gets off the field.
So he's still running the timeout out, but just because you're calling for a timeout, if it's not acknowledged, it's not a timeout.
You got to be ready to go.
So, sorry, right? Like, if an official sees a timeout, they're going to blow the whistle. They aren't going to allow a play to then continue to the point where there was a late hit on the quarterback that occurred. They allowed the play to go all the way through to that. I mean, it was a first down catch. And, that was a pretty good little chunk yardage play. Mm-hmm. Then you get Joe Burrow gets hit a late hit that they then say was incidental. Last I checked, that doesn't have anything to do with a roughing call, right? Like, I mean,
Ever.
if you smash someone in the head and you turn to the official, you're like, well, my bad, I didn't mean to do it. His head was just there. I was swinging my arm back. Like, it's still a foul.
Yes.
Penalty. So they wipe everything off the board, and they say, yeah, I guess like there was like a timeout. Like they wanted a timeout, so timeout.
Go ahead and give them a timeout.
We're gonna run this one back. Like, yeah,
So-
maybe go back to official school.
So, I mean, the horrible calls went both ways. If you're going to cough, mute, though. It's terrible
Yeah.
for audio. But, you know, calls went both ways. And it didn't feel like anybody really... I mean, of course, ours came on some touchdowns. But the ones that got called back against us were long plays.
I
Or
wouldn't even say
additional penalties.
I wouldn't even say the other ones are terrible calls. Like the touchdown with Uzama was just called a touchdown. Those get reviewed.
That's on New York.
They determined all the way through on that one touchdown, right? Did it look to us like maybe they could be like, yeah, maybe not? I think if they rule that incomplete on the field, it probably stays that way. But it was never even reviewed. Like, you know, the Raiders didn't ask for anything. They must not have seen anything in there. I mean, they've got to be looking at it too, right?
Well, of course, as soon as New York does it, I don't think you can actually challenge any further. Like
Okay,
they've already reviewed it.
But they looked at it and said, you know, good to go. Like it doesn't benefit you then to try and challenge something if the people you're challenging it to have already looked at it and made one call. Like they're not going to look at it again and be like, oh no,
Right.
that makes sense. He threw a red flag. He must have seen something else. Like incomplete. We'll just try this one again.
Just interesting. And it makes you wonder. I mean, of course, I've already beat the drum on 60-year-old coaches being out there, or I'm sorry, 60-year-old referees being out there. Call me an ageist. I'm really not. I don't honestly care.
That's a Barstool, Aaron.
That's fine. It's still my stand, and I still stand on that hill with my flag planted. It should not be that we have these 65 plus guys out there running around trying to visually and physically keep up with these elite athletes. Doesn't make a bit of sense. Coupled with the fact that you have these crews that are basically all-star crews put together that haven't worked together. And so you have
patchwork crews, yeah.
clear miscommunication. And I don't know. Of course, you want to put your best foot forward. But if that's the case, if you really feel like you want to put your best foot forward, NFL, have a referee school. Like, you are just, you have so much money, you don't know what to do with. You're paying Roger Goodell a gazillion dollars a year. Like, just create a referee school. That's all we want. We want to put the best people out there.
I don't get why they mix and match these crews going into the playoffs. Like when things matter the most, like it's obvious. We all know they grade these crews. So you should take, you know, your top. I mean, you're looking at
in your head. In your head, it makes sense because you're like, oh, we want to put an all-star crew out there at each game. It makes sense in your head until you actually see it when these guys need to communicate. And it's like the Tower of Babylon in the Bible where they're all speaking different languages and none of them understand each other. Like, what are we doing out there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think, I mean, you're probably going to get a couple things that come out of our game alone.
Mm-hmm.
At least probably make the whistle, the timing of the whistle or whatever is probably going to be reviewable.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, we're getting to the point now where it's a little bit ridiculous on nitpicking things that are reviewable. Obviously we want to get things right. No. If they actually wanted to get things right,
they put sensors in the ball, and we wouldn't be eyeballing it from the sideline, running to the middle of the field to line the ball up every down. Like, you would have automatic sensors. You wouldn't have people standing under the field goal posts to tell if the field goal was good or not. There would be sensors. If they actually cared, you would know where the ball went out of bounds because there would be sensors. The thing of it is, they don't actually care about getting it right, because as soon as you take the human element off the field, you lose control.
I get the sensors for the field goal. That could probably happen, but how you do sensors for the rest of the field, like for a first down and stuff? I mean,
Tennis does it.
Right, but it's fixed. Like, that's a fixed thing, right?
So is the field.
Yeah.
But the first down marker. Okay, you can say what you. Okay, all right, I got you now.
I mean, you would have to have.
I'm thinking the yellow line that moves, but you could just say first down is the 31-yard line. The ball broke. I got you now. All right, cool.
It would be an undertaking. To do so. It's not that they don't have the money to, if the actual technology for it is there, they can afford it.
But there's technology to keep drones out of the stadium, and they didn't do it, so we're good.
Yeah. But then getting down to like, so we've talked about other shoe dropping, things happening during the game. You've got this phantom timeout. Is that maybe like we're sorry we didn't stop it on the other thing, so now we'll kind of give you this.
I think that's what it was.
Whatever. But they discussed the other one, so maybe they thought that whistle wasn't even needed to be made up for kind of thing. I don't know there, but you get to the final drive.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was a comment that popped in. I was trying to read it. You get to that final drive, and things are all right. Like you're doing what you need to do, kind of keeping it slow. They've got to score a touchdown to send this thing through, and they get a decent gain, and then you get hit with a roughing the passer, and you're like, what? Like, this is a pretty disciplined Bengals team. This isn't the same kind of Bengals team that we're used to seeing headhunting people. He did
clip his helmet, and anytime you hit the head,
on the final drive, you're not going to have somebody make some egregious, hit on the quarterback. And then they show the replay, and even the guys in the booth were like, that. I get it. Okay. I understand like the hit to the head kind of things. If you want to talk about incidental contact, that's incidental. You already called roughing the passer back earlier because of an incidental hit. He's even rolling his body to get out of the way and clips him a little bit. Derek Carr sold it, and more power to him. He's like tapping his head and going all crazy, but like, I'm pretty certain that my 4-year-old daughter could have hit Derek Carr harder than that hit. So is this really like a thing that's happening? And in my head, I thought, here we go. They're setting it up. They're going to push the Raiders down there. This game is going to overtime. Like, they're going to do everything in their power to make this game go to overtime.
Well, and I don't know. Like I said, there was contact to the helmet, and it wasn't much, but it was enough it did move the helmet slightly. I had no issue with that particular call by comparison, especially after the Bengals got an illegal hands to the face against the Chiefs on the last drive to win that game. I wasn't going to bitch about that call. What I was going to bitch about was the timeout that should have never been a timeout. But like I said, I think the Bengals got away with some too when we talk about the 2 touchdowns. So it's we finally saw some calls go the Bengals' way. I hope it doesn't come back to bite them this week against Tennessee, because everybody saw those mistakes that were made against the Bengals, and you hope that the referees aren't like, well, they didn't really deserve to be here, so we're not going to give them a holding call that maybe you would have called otherwise, or sets any type of just bias against the Bengals going into Nashville.
I take it back. I just rewatched it. He didn't even hit the helmet.
You sure? I thought there was like a finger that hit the helmet.
No, like his like underarm lands on Derek Carr's like shoulder, and maybe he grazes the face mask with his back as he's like falling away. It is one of the most egregiously horrible calls I've ever seen in my life.
Like I said, that one didn't bother me so much as the rest of them, and it made for a great play by Jermaine Pratt to end the game. Bengals intercepted. Bengals win. They have the 31-year curse.
Coffin nails. Bam,
Bang,
bam, bam.
So
my favorite is the video of that of Dan Horde and Lapham up there, and they're high-fiving while Lapham is saying bam, 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 or whatever. And I don't know who the guy is that is sitting between them, but he's standing up and like his head's down and not even like paying attention, but literally every bam he's like throwing punches forward, like all excited. And then obviously because we knew at that point like things were ice, like they did it. And I heard a lot of these like we did it's, and it's like we have all just the majority of Bengaldom has been in this like
the crowd
drive.
caused 3 false starts.
Dude, we talked about that crowd. The crowd that went down there was loud, involved.
It was a sea of orange. It wasn't like terrible towels everywhere, and I mean, I think you kind of run into with the Raiders being black, silver, and white that they're not going to stand out as a yellow towel would. But
tough luck.
I mean, it looked like a sea of orange. It didn't look like there were any Raiders fans in attendance outside of what the 7 that you would see lining the end zone when they would show the end zone on a drive or something of that nature. But you love to see it. The Bengals finally get the monkey off their back. Andy Dalton couldn't do it. Carson Palmer couldn't do it. Boomer Esiason's second stint couldn't do it.
John Kitna couldn't do it.
Jeff Blake couldn't do it. David Klingler couldn't do it. Neil O'Donnell couldn't do it.
Don't do my boy John Kitna like that.
Ryan Fitzpatrick couldn't do it.
No, but Ryan Fitzpatrick was in the he was in. Did you see the picture of him in the stands of the Bills game?
It made me so sad. It made me so sad that he is a Bill now for life, and he wasn't here. He was there. That made me sad. Akili Smith couldn't do it. Is there anyone else that couldn't do it? Which one else is there? They couldn't do it.
Chad Johnson.
But Joe Burrow did it.
There's.
Oh, didn't the guy from Alabama try once?
JD McCarron couldn't do it.
AJ McCarron couldn't do it.
AJ, what? I said JD McCarron. Isn't that the guy from
JD McCoy? You were close to.
Yeah, I'm throwing all kinds of football guys together.
I let it go. But we did it. We finally did it. 31 years. Just saying. We did it.
All right. Now next week we break the road playoff thing.
I do want to point out that I'm sure none of this has anything to do with it, but back on June 15th of 2021, I turned 37 years old, 37 being my lucky number. And I did put it out there into the universe that this was going to be my motherfucking year. And since then, the Cincinnati Bearcats have made the college football playoff. And since then, the Cincinnati Bengals shook the monkey off their back. I'm very curious to see where the rest of this playoffs goes for the Cincinnati Bengals. And even more curious to see what happens come March Madness, as this is my 37th year, my lucky number, and my motherfucking year. So,
again, Red's going to do this year.
You forgot about Gus Frerotte.
How about that, too?
I also forget about Gus Frerotte.
Jonathan India walking around taking pictures with fans.
Ryan Finley couldn't do it.
Ryan Finley did beat the Steelers, though. Knocked them out of the playoffs.
Jay Schroeder, Paul Justin. These are all guys. Scott Mitchell. These are people all listed.
There's a name.
Wow. All right, that's exciting.
Jordan Palmer.
I know you were impressed with the Neil McDonald out of my. Or
The Neil McDonald
O'Donnell.
when you hit
O'Donnell.
Neil McDonald, that was really good. I was gonna say Gus Farrat. I second guessed myself. That's why I had to look it up.
Neil O'Donnell out of my back pocket. I know you like that one.
Well done.
So again, it's just good to see. Tennessee Titans up next. Derrick Henry. We'll see what's left of that foot. We'll see what's left of it.
I mean, it's not like they've been bad without him.
They're playing another Saturday game that seems to be our lucky playoff number. I'm just saying, 1-0 with Joe Burrow at the helm on Saturdays. I'll take it.
Just got to leave them Broadway girls alone.
And there's apparently a pretty big Nashville Bengals football club bar thing.
That bar was insane.
It was wild. And apparently Bengal Jim is like doing a thing with them.
Good. He should give them all hugs.
So,
Ed, you brought this up earlier. Joe Mixon not running the ball very much.
Yes.
Again, 17 times. That's a fair amount for him. I mean, he's usually somewhere around that 20-25 mark. What I will say is, I don't know. They got conservative in the red zone, but I think this was Joe Mixon's game Joe Burrow's game to win. They let Joe cook. People have been saying all year that they wanted to see Joe throw the ball. You win or lose with Joe, and that Joe today or on Saturday was Joe Burrow, not Joe Mixon. That said, if that pass he had over the middle to CJ Uzama, you saw how locked in Joe Burrow was, because that's the smallest window I've ever seen him hit a pass.
that was one of the best passes I've ever seen.
Ever, by anyone, ever. I mean, it went over the guy's shoulder, between his shoulder and his head. Like, he heard it come past his head into Uzama in like unreal.
And
Also, the throw on the erroneous whistle to throw falling out of bounds across his body, a dart to Tyler Boyd. Like, he was so locked in. You're not going to take the ball out of his hands to let Joe Mixon run. And Joe Mixon wanted to score. You could see that in the one screen pass he had where he was doing everything he could to get into the end zone. I think he wanted to be the one to actually drop the icky gritty. But
because he's always got some wild touchdown.
I think the game dictated that you could not run the ball with Joe Mixon while Joe Burrow was so locked in. And then you see him after the game with the sunglasses. And the question I want to pose to you two, I know we have talked all season long about Joe Burrow's confidence. Has he crossed the line from confident to cocky?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, he was rocking some Britney Spears 1999 like.
Sometimes I run, sometimes I hide, sometimes I'm scared of you. But
No,
all I really want is to hold you tight.
Is to hold you tight, treat you right, be with you day and night.
You're welcome.
Nope.
Baby, all I need is time.
This
But
video
yeah,
is getting
Baby,
claimed.
all I need is time.
but I disagree wholeheartedly with both of you. I think he is absolutely, if he's not our guy, I mean,
I mean, just like
that picture right there tells you he has crossed the line from confident to cocky.
I swear to
I
God,
think-
Michelle
no,
had the
but I-
sunglasses in 2002.
No,
I
here's
think
the
when
thing.
you say, but I think when you say,
I
like
think it's
when
a
you,
dare. I think he lost a bet.
like when you say cross the line, like that comes off as like a bad thing.
Oh no.
I'm here for arrogant Joe.
Absolutely.
Like
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying if he's not your guy, you're pissed. Like if this was Lamar,
For sure.
you remember Lamar Jackson wearing the whatever the kids are wearing these days, the ones that roll around your face and all.
oh yeah,
Vipers.
yeah.
Thank you, the pit vipers. He's wearing those on the sidelines.
The ones Gronk wears.
You know, we've seen. I don't know that Ben was ever cocky outside of beating the law, but that's a whole story, different story for a different
Well, he
day.
got cocky on that motorcycle.
Oh, there is that. I forgot about that. We've certainly seen Baker flirt with the line between cocky and confident. But again, like if this isn't your guy, you're not a fan. unless you're seeing through it and being like, man, I kind of wish that was my guy.
How can you not want that to be your guy though? Like he comes out, and I think like I can't take this as my own joke because somebody else like shared it repeatedly, but like the interview after the game where I don't even know who the girl was that was interviewing him, but it was like, yeah, what do you think about this? And he's like, yeah, it's great for the city. Like, but to be honest, we expected it. And then they cut in.
That was today, I think.
He said it on the field after the game because then they did this like splice where they cut in Talladega Nights where he's like, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence. Like, this is all I can see with this guy,
Yes.
And he
did say he gives off those vibes. I remember that now.
To Ed's point, like he did kind of reiterate it today, like this is great for the city. It's awesome.
Should have happened sooner. I thought it would happen sooner.
Yeah, I thought it would happen sooner. Like what? While you were rehabbing your knee, like just gonna wheel him out there and take snaps.
The full quote was, "I think the fans were very excited, but I tried to downplay it because this is how it's going to be from here on out. This is the standard, the bare minimum going forward." When I heard that today on the radio on my way home from work, I was like, it was one of those chilled moments. I was like,
I thought you were going to say you almost ran your truck through a brick wall.
well, I would go through a brick wall.
Oh, not the truck.
No, put the truck in that kind of danger.
Huh. Head
But
first, right?
I am here for Arrogant Joe. I love it.
Yeah.
I
We
think
were all
you
here for
see it
Arrogant Ocho Cinco. Why not be here for
I
Arrogant?
don't think he was arrogant. I just
Well,
think
I mean, he wasn't
fun.
at this. Yeah, he was fun. He wasn't this level arrogant. Becoming putting on your own gold jacket, and
That was when he was doing a different celebration, just trying to raise the bar every time.
what I'm saying is like just saying it's almost the same thing as Chad Johnson in different ways. We were all here for it, and I'm here for this as well.
And when you bring up like Chad Johnson, to see all of like the former players that have been here before,
Chad said,
like
"Who dey, bitches?"
that were like that were tweeting stuff out like
Willie Did you go through the Willie Anderson thread of all the people celebrating in their living rooms? And
No, I didn't.
At the game, I watched it for
that.
probably an hour and a half. Watching everyone's 10-second videos of like the play starts, Jermaine Pratt intercepts, and you have grown men crying on the floor. You have grown men crying in each other's arms. You have just
kids going nuts.
You have like families celebrating together. It was the most feel good thread I think I've seen. And Willie's like, you can't help but feel good. Like you saw even Carlos Dunlap celebrating that they got this. I imagine with Geno Atkins, who doesn't ever post anything, and all of a sudden his kids are out sledding and making sure they're wearing Bengals gear. And I know his name has kind of popped up in some circles this week as the Bengals have been down defensive linemen. I don't think at this point it's happening. I'm sure it was talked about, but in any case, he's still out there wearing Bengals stuff. Obviously, like we said, the Chad Johnson, TJ Hushmanzada, like they're all out here and they're just like, you did it. You did something that we couldn't do. You did it.
Yeah, no, it's great to see all the former players and whatnot that are tweeting about it or going out of their way to say something and make it known that it's nice to be a part of this organization, which you never seen before, right? Like people leave and it's kind of the end of it. Like they don't ever mention it again. Like forever Boomer Esiason was like, it seemed at odds with the organization for whatever reason, but they've like brought him back in. You got just
that's why I thought it was necessary to bring up the Carlos Dunlap thing, because even the way he went out, for him to be like, you guys did it.
I missed that, but that's nice to hear.
Missed the whole Danny Graves down here at the bottom.
I also missed Danny Graves there at the bottom.
And that brings in like even like across, like obviously the Reds account and everything was like putting stuff out, but then like Jonathan India just like
Ed brought him up.
Like he was like strolling through all the different like tailgates. There was a picture of him like shotgunning a beer, like just
he was
having
with
a
everyone.
good old
He
time.
smiled in every picture. he was down there just being a guy, just being a dude. Of course, he had club seats.
Oh.
As well he should. Rookie of the year. Him and Jamar Chase. I hope they're best friends. Like at some point, I just hope they're best friends.
I don't know. I'm excited about it. This weekend's going to be awesome again. I think either way that it turns out, I'm looking at things a lot different as a Bengals fan now.
I will say for anyone who still, prior to this weekend, said that we should have drafted Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase. Penei Sewell doesn't get the monkey off your back. You don't get into the playoffs with Penei Sewell. Not this year. I'm sorry.
And he may very well end up being like a, once in a lifetime kind of lineman, but we've got other plans.
Well, one of the things that I saw that was interesting, and I'll end it on this note. 1991 was the last time we won a playoff game. The connection was 9-1. Coincidence.
Yep.
Just saying.
Saw that rolling around too.
So
Who day,
bitches.
right?
Speaking of talking like that, Billy Hamilton was at the game too.
I did see that. So the Bearcats, they have made some moves this week. Finally,
Bearcats football? Is that what we're
Bearcats
talking about?
football has made
Bearcats
some
football.
moves this week. Finally, you have seen Gino Guidugli promoted from quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator. Not official, but it's been announced.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, hey.
Look at this guy.
Hey, our regular insider.
That's 700 WLW Chad Brendel right there.
15:30.
God damn it. That's twice I screwed the pooch today. I'm out. See you guys.
Gained a lot of listeners today.
I told you guys I was tired today.
A lot of people were really happy that I was on.
I saw that.
I thought it was a great show. Thought it was a great show. I left work early so I could watch it. Listen to it.
I saw him coming for you on Twitter. Thanks for listening.
Love you too.
I just like the people who, as soon as Mo announced that you were in for him today, they just start lighting Mo up like,
Yeah.
anyone would be better than him. Why would you even put him on the radio? Blah, 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 blah. Hello, controversy builds listenership. You silly idiots.
I guess I'm not for everybody.
Certainly not Xavier fans.
Yeah, well, whatever. They'll get over it.
So, Gino Guidugli promoted from quarterbacks coach to OC. That is the first news that came out yesterday. And also came out with the Pete Thamel sourcing that he was the one calling all of the calls last season offensively. And makes you wonder what Denbrock was doing out there. But before we get into that, we also had Walt Stewart coming in, former Bearcat, going to be working with the defensive line.
Well, that's not official yet.
Linebacker sniper is not official. Again, just announced.
That's a Bearcat journal. Nobody's announced that yet.
That didn't come out from Pete Thamel yet?
No.
Oh,
He's Aaron.
Come on, Aaron.
Easy, Aaron. Easy.
I just assume he's
brakes,
I assume
Aaron.
he's already
Come on,
talked-
Aaron.
I assume he's already talked about everything.
Some
Well,
things.
You take it from here then, Chad.
Kerry Combs in. Mike Cummings.
Westside Jesus.
Mike Cummings, offensive line coach at Central Michigan, in.
Gino's OC when he was at Central Michigan.
They had a pretty decent little line up there at Central Michigan this year.
He has done a really good, they got two guys that are in the Senior Bowl on their offensive line.
Two offensive line. Yeah.
So
And their
he
running
also was the leading running back in the country, leading yards in the country. He also, remember, there was a guy that played at Central Michigan. His name was Eric Fisher.
Oh yeah.
I believe he was. I believe he was drafted with the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. And
Was that reported, or is that a BCJ thing too?
no, that
What's
was
your,
reported.
what's
That
your
was
source on that, Dad?
The NFL draft. Yeah.
Oh.
The NFL draft was mentioned.
Seems legitimate.
He's done a really good job developing tackles specifically. And look, I love Ron Crook. Aaron knows I love Ron Crook. Aaron loves Ron Crook.
Same.
Ron Crook is an amazing human being. But what I would say is, if you watch Cincinnati against Ohio State, if you watch Cincinnati against Georgia, if you watch Cincinnati against Alabama, they've got to get better on the offensive line to compete at the elite level.
Bigger.
Stronger, faster.
Yeah.
It's a Kanye song, I think.
I've heard it.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
We already
that's why I'm
referenced
better.
Britney, so I
Don't
think we
kill
can all-
me. Can only make me stronger.
That's why I'm better than you, Ed. I said it first.
That's like the Kids Bop version.
And it's somebody that, if Gino's coming in, you are getting a guy that has a decade of experience being an offensive coordinator, a decade plus of experience being an offensive coordinator to work with him. So there's, look, man, this is big business. There's tough decisions that have to be made. This was a tough decision because Ron Crook is, he's an OG when it comes to Luke Fickell being a head coach at Cincinnati. This wasn't easy for anyone.
And by all reports that are out there, he's still staying. They're looking for a spot to.
They're working through possibilities.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's
Don't
fair.
act like I never told you.
My guess would be, if he can find a place that will hire him, a suitable landing spot as an offensive line coach, that he would do that. If not, like, this wasn't like a nasty parting of the ways, right? This was, we just think we need to
go in a different direction.
Go in a different direction. Not even necessarily that. We just need to take that next step. Luke Fickell talks about being a top 10 program.
It's not you, it's us.
Right. To be a top 10 program, you have to go against Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and be able to stop their defensive line. Because those dudes are freaks. They're 6'5", 260 pounds, and they run like 4.40s. They're legitimately like the joke in Dazed and Confused. Have you guys watched? Jeff probably has not a Dazed and Confused guy.
Dazed and Confused for so long it's not true.
No.
Nope.
Nope, that's not it. It's a movie about the 70s that, like, the high school football culture.
It's a
and
classic.
The one coach. It's a classic.
I've seen
it. And the one coach is like, ran 6'4", ran a 4.3 40. Like, that's what they look like. They're freaks of nature. And you've got to have an offensive line coach that can recruit and develop to stop those guys. That's the last step for Cincinnati, right? Because
but did that guy sign the paperwork in Dazed and Confused?
No, he never signed it. I may play ball, but I'll never sign this. Now I got to go get Aerosmith tickets. Now I got to go get Aerosmith tickets. Top priority of the summer. Now me and my loser friends got to go get Aerosmith tickets.
Yep, there it is.
Top priority of the summer. I've never seen it. I just heard. I read the quotes.
Okay, man.
It's the debut of Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Right? There was Ben Affleck was in that movie. Matthew McConaughey, Joey Lauren Adams, Parker Posey. Great flick. But that's the next step, right? Because even if you look at the Alabama game, Cincinnati's defensive line held up. They gave Alabama's offensive line a lot of problems.
Well, we talked about it. Myjai Sanders made some money against Alabama.
Yeah. The offensive line is the next step. This is an attempt to address that issue.
I think Myjai went from a fringe third-day guy to a second-day guy, bar none, against Alabama.
He'll be in the second or third round. I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Walt Stewart, what's odd is that Walt Stewart, like 2 weeks ago, was named the defensive line coach at Arkansas State.
And they just named a new one today.
They named a new defensive line coach. That's
Strange.
Huh. That's strange.
Butch
It's almost
Jones,
like
Butch Jones just likes him some defensive line coaches.
Does that just make a light bulb? Maybe a light bulb?
like
That's
that thing,
odd.
right? The red thing with the claws right above your head. That's kind of what it looks like. It's almost like Walt Stewart's not the defensive line coach at Arkansas State anymore. Huh.
And they didn't say anything about it.
I'd keep an eye on Pete Thamel's Twitter tomorrow morning.
That was another good one that Pete had. Where I mean, he's obviously had some good ones over the last couple of days, but where he put out the thing like, you know, that Gino been promoted, like that Luke Fickell says that he's, you know, gonna continue to call the plays, yada yada yada. Obviously, Bearcat Twitter like went up in flames for a while, and then somebody tweeted back, and I think it was in your tweet, it was like, well, what's his source on that? And Chad was like, I'm pretty sure it says he spoke to Luke Fickell, who said that he's going to continue to call the plays. So the source would be one Luke Fickell.
They asked me to outsource Luke Fickell. I know Pete said he got it from Luke Fickell, but I'm going to need to hear it from Chad. Like, that's the power of the BCJ brand now, right?
I guess.
I know the most respected national college football writer in the country said in the tweet that Luke Fickell told him that Gino Guidugli called the plays all last year, but I'm going to need Chad to confirm it.
The guy who
Chad ain't said it to board yet. It ain't real.
Right?
the guy who ESPN hired away from Yahoo Sports.
Right?
Has a house in the water.
I even saw a guy today say, we haven't seen any, and this was on Twitter as well, we haven't seen any of the local guys talking about it for a year. How did no one know this was going on? And
No
what do you
one
say to
told
that?
us. It's like, you think they wanted that public?
They're saying, well, we saw Denbrock holding the sheet and talking into the mic when there were plays going on. We saw Dez frustrated with Denbrock on the sidelines several times this season when things weren't going right. How do you say that it was Gino when all signs indicate at that point that it was Denbrock?
He was texting it into him.
That's not how that works.
You know who the voice was in the headset?
I mean, I know where you were going with this answer, but I just wanted the people to hear you say it. But go on.
I know who was in the box and who was on the field. And the new offensive coordinator was in the press box, and the old offensive coordinator was on the field. Here is my, I put this on the board. I don't know if I've said it out loud yet.
It's the same way Zach Taylor and Callahan do it.
Yeah. Here is my thought process. I don't think people understand how much the Georgia game kind of rearranged the whole big picture. Right? Because hypothetically, you see that 54, 53-yard field goal misses, right? UC beats Georgia in the Peach Bowl. Desmond Ridder goes pro. Myjai Sanders goes pro. Kobe Bryant goes pro. Like, we go down the list on that, right? And all of a sudden, this season is the reload, right? And now maybe Mike Denbrock makes a different decision in his talks with Vanderbilt. Gino Guidugli moves up to offensive coordinator last year. You know, who knows what happens with Marcus Freeman in that scenario.
Yep.
Well, but that's the thing, Jeff. Like, think about this. Did you really want to go into, with everybody that had announced their return, no Marcus Freeman, no Mike Denbrock? Like, you're bringing in a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator in a season where all of a sudden you have 35 seniors and everybody's back. And it's time to, like, okay, well, we almost beat Georgia. We got Dez, we got Sauce, we got Myjai, we got Kobe, Beavers, DeBlanco, like, you know, Brian Cook, like Wiley, Alec Pierce, Lenny. We got what we need to take a shot. And that changes what last offseason was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Right? Because Gino Guidugli, remember, was hired at Central Michigan to be their offensive coordinator for the 2017 season. and Cincinnati came calling and said, come be our running backs coach. Leave an offensive coordinator job to come coach running backs. And then for 3 years, he elevated to quarterback coach. The simple progression was Gino to be offensive coordinator last year.
Or to go somewhere else to be an offensive coordinator.
But Cincinnati didn't want him to do that, is my point. Like,
Right.
They groomed him to be the next offensive coordinator, and the reality of what was possible this season meant everybody had to sit down and say, okay, we know what the long-term plans were. Now we need to readjust and figure out what the long-term plans now are going forward, which involved, clearly, Gino getting a year of experience calling plays. And I look, I would love to have told you guys 4 months ago that Gino was calling the plays. Nobody talked about it. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, they don't have to, though, right? Like, I mean, it's
No.
not something that we expect them to come out and say, like,
Here's the other thing. It's a question I don't know to ask.
yeah.
So
Why
now
would
every
you?
year, the second game of the season, I'm gonna be like, hey,
Who's calling the plays?
what's up, man? Who's calling plays? Are you telling me the truth? I don't know if I believe you.
DC?
Huh?
OC? Which one?
You don't understand. People on the internet need me to confirm this. I mean, you could say it, but until I confirm it, it ain't happening.
And I have to confirm it because they trust me more than Luke Fickell.
Clearly.
Well, there
Doesn't
you
happen
go.
if I don't confirm it.
Believe it or not, that barn that Luke Fickell built, it wasn't for recruits, it was for Chad.
That's where I'm at. Right. That's why I haven't decorated.
Right
That's where him and
Ixnay.
Kelly. That's where him and Kelly moved.
Ixnay on the Arn Bay, Ed.
My bad.
Chad-
My bad. I mean, you were
Chad's
just late
living
because
in
you were
a-
throwing up hoops in the barn. I got you. That's my bad.
Ixnay on the Arn Bay.
Yeah, that's on me.
We'll have that.
I know you glossed over it, and we've talked at length about Gino, but Kerry Combs, coming back to Cincinnati, and he's not even been formally announced, and now there is a 5-star cornerback, also one of JQ Hardaway's teammates, who has placed Cincinnati in his top schools well after he was supposed to announce, which was what I believe January 12th, he was going to announce his commitment. Obviously, some things were in the mix. He has tweeted all day about Cincinnati. He has tweeted in the past about his love of Kerry Combs and how he's different and who's been with him from the start. And it's very interesting now to see the number 18 kid in the country talking about Cincinnati. What are your thoughts on that, Chad?
We've done this dance before with some highly rated kids. Generally, when they when they're on campus, wake me up when they're on campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, this is a kid clearly was recruited to Ohio State by Kerry Combs, has a very close relationship with Kerry Combs.
I thought you were going to pull up the picture of AJ Harris and JQ in the tweet that they put out where they're together, but instead you have Kerry Combs doing snow angels in the confetti.
What's better?
Well, I mean,
That's a solid question, Ed, because this
Fair
guy's
enough.
awesome. He's awesome. That guy's awesome.
I'm not gonna deny that.
Westside Jesus is good for business.
Um,
Can you confirm that?
yeah,
Okay, good.
I'm excited to have Kerry back in town. I think it's a great spot for him. I think he's going to be energized. Like, the man's never been fired before,
Not
right?
not-
Like his pride's stinging a little bit.
What now?
You know?
Was he actually fired or was he just not retained?
semantics.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like
What day
that,
my
Chad.
company?
Here's what he was,
company.
here's what he
Again,
was told, Jeff.
It's not us. Or it's not you, it's us.
Here's what he was told, Jeff. You ain't got to go home.
But you can't stay
But you
here.
don't
Gotta
have
get
an
the fuck out of here.
But you don't have an office in the football building anymore.
Right, you got to get the fuck out of here. Like, that's a guy I think that's going to be energized. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's a guy
if you
that
look at any pictures of that man, I don't
not
think
that he
there's-
needs to be extra energy, right?
I was
Like,
going to say, I don't think there is a picture of him anywhere where he doesn't look like he's got energy.
he is a walking can of Red Bull that has been shaken by
Not
like
stirred.
a robot. Not stirred, shaken by a robot. Like that's who he is.
Not like the 8-ounce can, right? We're talking like the
big one.
the one that's too big for your heart. Your heart should actually not be allowed to consume that particular can of Red Bull. His head's gonna explode.
Look
He's
how
real-
red it. He
real
literally
red.
is that. He literally is the GIF of like the red cartoon thing. That's head just.
Explodes
Yeah.
with
Oh,
flames.
from the yes,
Yes, that's him.
That Disney cartoon or
Yeah, that's
Pixar
him.
or whatever. I don't know which one it was.
That's him. That's
Yes.
who he is. But special teams coordinator, cornerbacks coach. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a perfect move by Luke Fickell.
So
As
what he-
you are restructuring the staff.
He's filling in 2 open spots in, right? Because we lost our special teams.
Okay, so here's the thing. Brian Mason was special teams coordinator, and he coached the sniper position.
Okay.
Coordinators always have a position they coach. I think this is where people get kind of confused. They don't just coach, like they don't just coordinate the one thing.
Well, even like,
Like-
Freeman, when Freeman was here, he did linebackers.
Yeah.
Tressel's here, he also does linebackers,
Yeah.
Gino does quarterbacks.
quarterbacks. Gesundheit.
Thank you. I'm exhausted. It's been a long. I woken up at 7:15 this morning. Hey, you want to do radio today? Like, no, but I will. So Brian Mason coached special teams coordinator, and he coached snipers. And Perry Eliano coached cornerbacks. So when the two of them left, you had 2 jobs with 3 responsibilities. So now Carey is coming in to coach special teams and corners, and somebody else is coming in to coach snipers,
Nudge, nudge,
Which
wink,
is-
wink.
is close to the line of scrimmage, and maybe he had a job somewhere else coaching the defensive line yesterday.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Sounds fair. If you want to know the name, go sign up to Bearcat Journal. I'm sure it's on a board somewhere.
It's at the top of the thread or top of the board in a thread named Coaching Intel. It's
There you
pinned.
go.
Like it's there. All of the information. Everybody's like, I need the info. And I'm like, I'll go to Half Baked again. You remember? Did you watch Half Baked ever, Jeff?
No. You think I have all this extra time, Chad?
Damn narcs. I swear to God.
I've got
There's a scene in Half Baked where they're selling weed and they just happen to be sitting on the porch smoking a joint. Okay. And then all of a sudden, Snoop Dogg shows up and he comes over and he sits down and he's like, hey, why don't you give me that joint? And he smokes the whole joint, the whole thing in one puff. And Jim Brewer, do you know Jim Brewer? Goat Boy?
Yep.
That movie has Jim Brewer and Dave Chappelle and Harlan Williams.
Oh, goat boy. Good old goat boy.
And
Meh.
yeah, and Jim Brewer's like, we sell this. And Snoop was like, oh, that's too bad, man. I just stopped smoking yesterday. And that's how I feel a lot of times on Twitter when people ask me for premium information and they're like, I'm poor. And I'm like, I'm sorry. But I'm still not going to give you the premium information. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think like 3/4 of the time out of the year, it's like $1.
No. We do like once a month for like 3 or 4 days. We'll do a sale. Or you can do you get a month for $1 and then you have to pay
Yeah, that's what I'm
full
saying.
price. Like you can get an entry level, but don't tell people to like cheat and get the subscription for $1. Get all of my information during the most important month of information, and then leave.
If
Jeff,
you get-
the What the fuck are we doing here?
I didn't say then leave.
You don't get the
added the
perks.
then leave.
You don't get the perks of Paramount Plus if you go for the cheap route.
He's so concerned about his Yellowstone.
I've never seen
That's
Yellowstone
all
in
Ed
my
cares
life.
about is Paramount Plus.
I've never seen Yellowstone a day in my life.
Because he's still waiting to have to pay so he can get his Yellowstone.
I comped you. Have you tried?
Yeah, it doesn't work. I think it's because we're. I think probably because it's still under the.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. I still enjoy it.
I'll check.
I just scroll the boards.
Right there.
And then I get overwhelmed when there's 87,000 new posts, and then I have to go away for a little bit.
I feel that pain. Trust me.
I start
But
making
now-
a post
but
in the
now,
mailbag, and then I'm like,
I was really excited. I was really excited after the Bengals thing for Mo to write his first article.
I did read it.
Yeah,
Really good.
big time.
Really good.
That's why you hire Mo.
That's another plug for Mo Egger. If you guys don't know who Mo Egger is, he's an up and coming writer in Cincinnati.
Young guy that does a really, really good radio show, but sometimes he takes it or he like has to switch schedules or takes a day off. And the guy they have in for him sucks. I hate that
Just
fucking
saying,
guy.
if he was,
Guy's awful.
I found out last night he was in Wichita when he wrote the article. I feel like if he was in Wichita, it could have been a little longer.
You are the person that you hated on the fucking message board today.
You're right.
That's what you are.
You're right.
Somebody on the message board today was like, "Can you give me? Oh man, can you give me like the cliff notes on all of the audio and video content you do
on all the video, yeah.
Yeah,
It's not even on audio, all the video.
on everything that's not written? We're gonna need cliff notes so
I
that
need-
I
I
don't
need
have to
bullets.
listen to or watch it. Bullet points. I'm not gonna read it. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna listen to it.
Here's the
And I'm
beauty
like,
of this: we can talk shit about him all we want on any
He's not listening.
video
Yeah.
platform because he's not listening.
Our sponsors would not be happy to find out that we're just putting on the board
The cliff notes.
the cliff notes so that nobody had to listen.
Why is there a picture of Mo picking his nose on the internet?
For fun.
Wow.
Don't
I don't know.
Ed, don't you dare look up young pictures of me.
Oh, I don't have access right now, Chad, to the referee picture.
Good.
Oh,
Were you a high
man.
school referee?
No, Chad.
No, I used to do a TV show, and part of that TV show was I wore a referee outfit. It was basically I created Tony Reale.
Around the horn.
I created Around the Horn before there was Around the Horn. I was a referee. I had a panel. When they would say dumb crap, I would blow a whistle and penalize them and mute their mic.
They stole
And
your
then-
idea.
6 months later, Around the Horn was on TV. So yeah, they stole my idea.
Oh.
They did. Yeah, see, you can't find any, can you, Ed?
I wasn't looking.
Okay, good.
I hear a lot of mouse clicks, Ed. That means you're looking.
That's not me. That's Chad.
What?
So, anything else you want to talk about with the new coaching changes and all of that? I mean, I know you've hinted at who you think that they may go with tight ends, but that's
No, I did not.
nothing that you're
I did
No,
not
you-
do that.
you
I gave my
that's-
opinion
Oh,
your
God.
opinion. I'm sorry, your opinion, and I
on
know
who
that
I think
we
who I would pick.
who it should be in your opinion. Fair.
Who I would pick. That's what I gave my opinion on.
Is that posted on the board, Chad?
No, it was on the nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken.
It was one of the bullet points that never made it.
Yeah, it was one of the bullet points that asshole can shove up his ass.
Boom. And that is a part in the punctuation exclusive.
Yeah, I wasn't skinny then though. Like that wasn't that long ago. That was still a 513 shirts hat. That was the trucker hat. So yeah, I'm talking. There's pictures of me at skinny, like 135, 140 pounds.
That was before you started eating Galactic Fried Chicken, though.
It was before. It was before I had a kid, and I got fat and gray fast. I used to run a 4.340, Ed.
Me too.
What happened to us?
Ed never ran a 4.340.
Life.
Ed
Never,
ran a
no,
4.3
never, not once.
ever. Also,
I know that fact.
there are unconfirmed claims that Ed was flying a drone down at Paul Brown Stadium during the Bengals game. So brick by brick is how we describe his high school basketball career.
Stop. My high school basketball career was actually not a lot of bricks. There was one ejection, one suspension.
Of course there was.
My high school career is pretty good.
Brick by brick. Can neither confirm nor deny.
How many points a game did you average, Ed?
2.
Oh, well, shit. That's a bad game. You're pretty good.
We're talking about 6 to 7 rebounds a game, though.
That's like a former Bearcat that's at Wisconsin.
Are you counting rebounds like in the layup line before the game starts, or are these just like in the actual game?
No, in the actual game.
Okay.
Brick by brick.
In the layup line, I was still grabbing a pretzel from the concession stand.
How many of the rebounds were your missed shots?
Yeah, we go 50%.
Was that Tommy Hines? Who was the coach when you were there? Tommy Hines?
I didn't play for the high school team. I played rec league.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, gee, oh my God. Good, Ed.
Coach Tim Egan.
Huh.
Dude made me I missed a rebound once in practice. He made me race his daughter full court until I could beat her.
In a timeout?
No, during practice.
Oh.
And made me.
How many times did you lose?
To her?
Yeah.
All of them.
A good amount of times. I got her one time. I think she felt bad for me and slowed down.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think there's much left in terms of the staff changes. Kerry Combs did come in today, and all of a sudden, 5-star cornerback AJ Harris, who plays at the same high school as JQ Hardaway, is tweeting about the Bearcats. To reiterate, Aaron, we will continue to track that situation and cover that situation. I have seen situations like it before many times.
Yeah, AJ Styles was flirting with us pretty hard back once upon a time.
I think there is an opportunity. CC Jefferson, if you go old school Bearcat Journal, you know CC Jefferson that played defensive end at Florida. I'm not saying I'll believe it when I see it. I'm saying when the kid comes up here and is on campus and
has an official visit, yeah,
or does he come up for a camp? Does he come up in the summer? Once stuff like that happens, then it's serious.
Is he 23 or 20?
23. Yeah, 23. So he and JQ know each other, but they didn't play together because he just transferred to the high school JQ was at. Now JQ is at UC
already
as an early enrollee.
Right.
But clearly, watching them tweet back and forth together today, they are friendly. They know each other and apparently know each other pretty well. So there are connections, and we'll see how it goes. Right now, I'm not going to jump out of my skin about it because I've seen this happen before. We're going to take a calm, collected, reasonable approach. And if JQ gets AJ Harris up here to take a visit, then we'll freak out.
We're getting more trolls in the YouTube chat than we get on our Bearcat Nation chat right now.
At least you didn't have a Nazi. We ran into that on one of the podcasts.
Yeah, we had a Nazi.
What class is that guy? What class is that kid in?
23.
23. Okay. So he'll be a senior this coming school year.
Okay, so he's still got a full year high school football left.
Yeah. He's a junior right now.
Okay.
The pipeline to Phoenix City, I mean, you have to consider the fact that obviously UC knows his head coach, as they did recruit and get the commit from JQ. So the pipeline there is certainly open, and the addition of Kerry Combs doesn't hurt any of that.
Right. So that's where we're at on coaching staff changes. Coaches are out on the road. Mick Walker's all over it. They had a junior day of 12 local prospects that were on campus on Saturday. There's an article on Bearcat Journal for that. Basically, just go to Bearcat Journal and spend your money.
Sure.
Yeah. It's worth it.
Yeah.
There's some info there.
Spoken by 3 guys that get, the subscription for free.
I paid for it to start
I
with.
paid it first.
I know I'm kidding. Can I not joke? I'm kidding.
Not on this topic.
On this
Not
show.
when it comes to fun. It is worth it though. And I said that before I got a comp subscription.
You did,
Yeah.
because you didn't think it was worth it. You didn't think it was worth it. And then you signed up and you're like, oh, crap, there's a lot of info on here. This is pretty good.
That's true.
You were skeptical.
I was. I told Aaron numerous times, I thought that message boards died in the 90s. So now
They're alive
A
and well
believer.
here in 2022.
Well, what did Mark Twain say?
we're behind it
20
here in the city.
times. So
Yeah. Ohio's definitely
message boards are hot in the streets in Cincinnati, Jeff. How would Mark Twain not know?
I thought he said Huckleberry Finn, but
the guy with the fishing
basketball-
pool.
There was also a basketball game that happened, Aaron. I don't know if you know about that.
there
or not.
was
basketball game, too.
Wichita State. I've already talked about it a couple times, but willing to do it again.
Good.
I've said it a couple different times, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I watched that game and have no idea how we won that game. Still,
Heart and determination. We
Clear
stay
eyes.
hungry. We stay power.
clear eyes, full hearts.
Intimidation, domination, celebration. That's how
Well, I know. Chad brought it up at the beginning of the year after they had, I think it was after the Illinois game, and then they kind of stumbled a little bit after that, and it was like if the other teams had started to quote unquote at that point figure out like if they can come out and match the intensity level of UC, that it makes it a lot easier to get one over. And I think UC in that game eventually was able to bring their intensity level above that of Wichita. Maybe Wichita just ran out of steam towards the end. I don't know, but
I think
they rely on their starting 5 a lot.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of depth there.
well, UC obviously uses 87 guys, so
yeah, but they play with like determination. It's like you see Coach that guy on the sideline, and he's out on the court wanting to guard people. He's fired up, and when you do that, it gets your guys fired up.
What the
Coach
hell
that
are you
guy?
talking about?
Wes, thank you.
Well, yeah, Wes Miller. Yeah, he's
By the way, what does Wes Miller drive?
a car? I don't know.
probably a vehicle. Ed, why are we worried
I
about?
think I saw him at Hyde Park on Saturday morning. But
What was he driving?
it was a Lexus RX 330.
I would say that probably sounds about right, doesn't it?
I would think so.
It could be.
It
Everything.
looked like him. I was
You've
picking up a
said.
T-shirt for the Bengals game from Cincy shirts, and
I mean, they started off in the first half. They were cold from 3,
very cold.
and
It took
then
Davenport-
they turned that around. So
Well, they hit 33%. They hit 5 of 15 from 3. The second half was much better, 5 of 11. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it at length, but David DeJulius again leading the way with 18 points. But you got some stuff from some of the guys that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Guys off the bench. Hayden Koval put up a season high 13 points.
super impressive, that guy.
Very good game for Hayden Koval.
And especially in a game that you had locking out. Odie gave you some great minutes. Adu gave you great minutes. Adu. They all had
Deer.
blocks. All 3 of them had blocks. Hayden and Adu and Odie.
Odie.
They all gave you.
The Odie block was.
Well, he had 3. He had 3 blocks. I mean that.
Yeah, but you know the one I'm talking about, where the guy
Yep.
came right at him and he
Yeah.
just jumped straight up and spiked it. He put a Jordan Thompson on it.
For him to get 3 blocks in 10 minutes of play was super impressive.
I
agree.
thought Koval, they brought it up on the broadcast a lot. Actually, I think for three straight possessions down the court, they brought it up. with his ability to get outside and mess with the like the defensive set and open up the lane with because you have to defend the fact that he can shoot a 3-ball with some regularity and some ability.
3 of 5.
The Udeze, the big kid for Wichita State, is a guy that plays near the rim.
Yeah,
Generally speaking.
Yeah, he doesn't want to come out and play at 22 feet. So it was a good strategical move by Wes Miller, and Hayden made 3 threes to like reward his coach for, you're going to use me as a mismatch. Like if he misses 1 or 2 of those, Bearcats are in trouble.
He ended up with more minutes than either of his counterparts. More than Odie. Odie only had 10. More than Ado, who only had 17. He ended up with 18 off the bench.
That's where that little flex lineup that they put out there, I mean, that it benefited them greatly because, like you said, I mean, I don't know how to say his name. Udeze was clearly uncomfortable having to move from just jumping up and swatting balls out of the air.
But that was where you got to see the aggression that's been of late from Micah Adams-Woods. That was where you got to see David DeJulius creating his shots. That was where you got to see John Newman creating shots. And John Newman was another one who had, some great minutes. He only finished with 10 points, but those were 10 important points, especially some of the threes he was knocking down to, tie the game or get a lead.
You know what else I was here for with John Newman? He was getting ready to check in towards the end of the game, and David DeJulius.
That was towards the end of the first half.
Was it towards the end? Okay, It was towards the end of something. And he's sitting there.
I knew it was towards the end of something.
Yeah. And he's at the table. He's pumping up DeJulius out there, like he's
clapping.
DeJulius, you got this, you got this, you got this, and I'm here for that. Like you didn't see that last year.
That was actually he was sitting there to get subbed in and never got in because they ran the ball to the end of the half.
Oh yeah, I did remember that part now. Yeah.
But yes, he was there pumping him up.
The other thing I noticed is my guy Mikey Saunders. He is fast as lightning. I think nobody can take that away from him. But when he gets to the rim, like he just goes too fast, and he gets to the rim and he doesn't know what to do with the ball with that speed.
Well, that was one of the things that Wichita State did very well, was taking the left side of the rim away from him. And that was one of the things that Chad and I have talked about this week already is just the fact that Wichita State game planned very, very well defensively for Cincinnati. And that was why the bench points from Hayden Koval and the bench production from Odie and the points from John Newman, things that we aren't accustomed to seeing because we're normally used to seeing Jeremiah Davenport be the second leading scorer, and he was awful, to be quite honest, offensively. But he was there still hyping everybody up and never quit and made a big shot there at the end finally. But they game planned very, very well, and Cincinnati had to counter, and they did so off the bench.
That's well summed up. I mean, I just go back to the fact that I thought it would be the adjustment that they made to throwing in, being willing to just put somebody out there that obviously, like, I don't feel like he's had a whole lot of minutes this year, and just kind of riding Koval in the
situational. Like there have been a couple times where it's been like, we're riding with him. He's got a couple blocks, like protected the rim.
He hasn't had 18 minutes yet, though, right?
I think there might be 1 or 2 games where he has, but it hasn't been many.
Yeah.
But there's been a couple times where they felt like he's the right matchup, so they've kind of gone with him.
None in conference play, I don't think.
No, conference play, he's been pretty quiet. And that's the other thing I would say, though, Aaron. In conference play, don't look now, but Mike Adams-Woods and John Newman have been major factors in conference play.
Yep.
They're both up over double digits. They're hitting threes. They're spacing the floor. Like, yes, everybody is focused on DeJulius and Davenport, But Mike Adams Woods and John Newman have also been, since conference play has started, pretty important factors.
Well, and to that point, I mean, that's been the biggest gripe on Micah Adams Woods over the course of the last 2 years is when he has shined, it's been just few and far between. And now that he's kind of getting that aggressive nature and being one to attack the rim or even shoot the three and kind of feel like he can do those things.
Right.
That's just not something we're accustomed to seeing from Mike Adams Woods. So
he's also still leading the country in the assist to turnover margin by a pretty long shot too. I mean, he's like 5.3.
5.3, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's still that, like, you know, you feel like you could start to get a little bit excited. Like I think I saw that they moved up somewhere in the net to like 59.
They're number 2 in the conference in net.
So right, I think they're like 59. Houston's like 4. I think.
Yeah, Houston's really good. Although, you know, they barely beat. They beat the snot out of South Florida tonight because they stink.
But how they do against Tulane?
They barely beat Tulsa a couple nights ago, which that's who's here Thursday night. So.
Oh, we don't get to go to Tulsa this time?
Not Thursday night. I think there's a return game at Tulsa.
You going to that game?
Not Thursday night.
You say get to go, Ed. We talk
I just want to know if
this
Chad's going to go to Tulsa.
But we talk about this once every 6 months or so, and the answer is always no. Ed, Chad's not going to Tulsa.
Ed, I'll make you a deal.
You gonna send me?
If you pay for me, not you. If you pay for me to fly to Tulsa, you have to cover airfare, hotel, and food. February 12th.
No drink?
I'll cover my booze.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Can we not do airfare? Can we do a bus ticket?
No.
And when we're talking about food, like when my brother played volleyball for Mount St. Joe, he got like a $5 stipend for dinners.
Where are you going to eat for $5?
A stipend? Isn't that what you do to like a gas tank?
That's siphon.
I'm talking about a stipend.
It's stipend is the word.
Oh,
You mix the two words.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Anytime we get up around 2 hours on this show, it totally just falls right off the rails.
I'm creative. I create new words.
You pay for me airfare, hotel. I'll eat fast food. I'm okay with that. I like
dollar menu.
Yeah, no.
Buc-ee's.
No. Buc-ee's is there? I don't think there's a Buc-ee's in Tulsa. I might have to drive to Texas to go to Buc-ee's since I'll be close though.
Oh, you have to get him a rental car too.
I'm not paying for that.
Oh, you are.
No,
if you want me to go to Tulsa, there are consequences, Ed.
Let me go ahead and check my business manager and see.
I think Ed's got 60 seconds of AEW he needs to get in here before.
It's about that time.
Give it a hell yeah!
If you're ready, Ed.
I am ready.
You got your
I am
notes?
ready. My notes are right here on the screen.
Oh, I mean, I didn't know because you didn't drop them last week, so I didn't know. But if you're ready, your time starts.
New system.
In 3, 2, and fly. Okay,
so I did AEW's dark matches from last night because I did not set the thing up right. Anyways, Mark Henry's a commentator. That's all right. Seidel reminds me of Marty Jannetty. He was a pretty cool flyer. The refs are much like the NCAA basketball refs, useless. This match reminds me of a match that was sent to me that proved that wrestling is not fake. These dudes are flying around like the Nutcracker musical, just timely and on point. Oh, shoot, the match is over. Matt Seidel won. Match number 2. Oh, shit, there must be Reds fans here at the taping. They're doing the woo. They made a Big Boss Man reference. Big Boss Man was so cool. I always wanted to be him. Shoot, this match is over too. Match number 3, JB Cole and Tim versus the Gun Club. Apparently the Gun Club are now called the Ass Boys. That's weird. These two dudes really grew up in wrestling. One of them is on a new reality TV show. Speaking of DX, I heard the Road Dogg was released from WWE last week. Will he come to AEW? This was a pretty good match. Way to go, Gun Club. I mean, Ass Boys. That's all I
And
got.
time.
Wow.
Well done.
You
You
did
actually, you did it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I never want to hear you say ass boys again, ever.
Thank you.
Did
Good
you
work,
just
Ed.
award yourself a microphone?
No, his wife did.
Yeah, she
Oh.
did.
Good work, Ed.
Thank you.
All right.
I don't know what's wrong with fiber optics, but I swear I set AEW to record, and I'm mad about it too because
Kelly just came in. She's like, "Why are you clapping?"
I said, what just happened?
Oh, Ed finished his whole 60 seconds of AEW
You said
on
the
the
whole-
time frame.
You said the whole Brendel house is upside down now, Ed. Way to go. Way to go.
I tried to explain to her what happened, and she looked over at the TV and she goes, "Oh, Florida State Duke 65-65." She didn't care 1 second. 1 second of
I'm
me
glad because you
explaining.
said only Ed 60 seconds, and I just want to make sure she was about wrestling.
All right. Well, that was another episode of Part of the Punctuation. Jesus Christ. Gus Frerotte couldn't get it done.
And no, he couldn't.
31
He's
years.
retired.
Curse is over.
Couldn't get it
31
done.
years.
No,
Curse is
Kelly
over.
Smith.
Get it out of here.
Blake. They're all
Get it out of here.
bad.
He has no clue what's going on right now.
Again, that was another episode of Pardon Punctuation. Thank you to Chad Brendel for taking some time out of his evening after having to do the radio today and whatever shenanigans we get into all week long anyway. For Jeff Howell, for Chad Brendel, for Ed Mayhall, the self-proclaimed best producer, also the rogue drone in Paul Brown Stadium that brick by brick, it's been...
Not down with that. We got 2 words for ya.
That was another episode of Pardon the Punctuation. We'll see you next week. See ya!
Goodbye.